Hello everyone. It is me, Rôvi Vrusamâidzisi. I am so happy that you are enjoying my spoken word pieces and my Dr. Blake series. I see the views. I see the few likes. Thank you so much. I do this for one reason only, to touch just that one person. I am not worried about the numbers side of it. I am not worried about one-hit wonders, likes, followers, or going viral. That means nothing to me. I am driven by purpose, the same Pisces energy I keep talking about. When I am going about my daily routine, a melody will sometimes come out of nowhere and refuse to leave. It can stay in my head for days, weeks, months, or even years until I do something with it. Then it finally goes away. I could be taking a shower and there it is. Several days later I am eating and the same melody is still looping. One example is the line, "Your mama should have taught you some manners." It kept playing until I finally wrote it down. Most of the time these melodies arrive on their own. Other times I deliberately decide to advocate for a topic and then write the song around it. Now let us talk about the pros and cons of being the all-in-one, lyricist, songwriter, composer, and producer, what people usually call the triple threat, although it also includes quality control. I am going to start with the cons, because I like to end everything on a positive, grounding note. I already made a separate video called, 3 Producers Fired Me and Blacklisted Me in the Music Industry. Some of that story belongs here because it explains why I ended up doing everything myself. I spent time working with a few producers who had professional ties to well-known artists in the industry. These producers were trying to help me get things moving. As long as I handed them my lyrics and let them have complete control, rearranging, cutting, adding, and changing the tone, they were fine. The minute I stepped up and asked, "Why did you cut that lyric? Why did you change the genre? Why did you add that?" it became a problem. I also like to think outside the standard songwriting formulas. Most songs follow verse chorus verse bridge outro. I might do verse verse chorus. I might start with the chorus. I might repeat a short hook multiple times throughout a short song. They did not like that I was thinking for myself. What really ruffled feathers was the advocacy. I believe in balance. When women go through breakups or get hurt, there are countless songs waiting for them. But when a man gets hurt, when he becomes a victim of domestic violence or sexual assault, when he faces the double standard, where are those songs? I started writing them to fill that gap. I do not care if it sells or flops. I care about the one person who needs to know someone understands. Most of those producers were men, yet they were thinking purely from a commercial perspective, what will sell, what people will like. I was thinking from an advocacy perspective. That difference is why they eventually blocked my number and refused to work with me. I was never rude. I simply said, "This is the way I want it, and I do not want you to change it." That is something many people in the industry do not like to hear. So I became independent. Many people might say, "That is great, you have 100% control." Yes, that is great. I will talk about the pros at the end. But there are also real cons, and I am not the only one who feels them. For me, the top one is quality control. If you follow me or have casually run across one of my videos, 1 minute the song is there and the next minute it is gone. That is usually because I took it down. Sometimes I am updating lyrics or adding something. Most of the time I simply missed a mistake. When you are the lyricist, the songwriter, the composer, the producer, and the quality control person all at once, things slip through. There is also the burnout. I cannot tell you how many times I have burned out. When you carry that Neptunian creative energy, the downloads keep coming even when you do not want them. A melody will sit on top of your head for days or weeks until you deal with it. And I am the type of artist who will not stop until the piece is completely finished. That means I have stayed up for hours, sometimes 2 or 3 days, barely eating, barely bathing, locked in until every check is done, composer check, producer check, lyrical check, and quality control check. During those multi-day creative hypnosis sessions, I am almost always wearing the same thing, my turquoise fleece adult footy pajamas with the little yellow rubber duckies all over them. They are soft, cozy, and pure cuteness overload. When someone I know knocks on the door, such as a woman delivering a package while I am traveling and staying in a hotel, she will see me in these pajamas and say something like, "Oh, you are wearing those cute pajamas again." She has no idea I have been up working for 2 or 3 days straight. Sometimes I am so deep in the zone I do not even want to answer the door because I do not want to break the hypnosis. But when I do, there I am, rubber duckies and all. When the piece is finally finished, I crash. I put a "Do Not Disturb" sign on the door and take the rest I need. It is exhausting. My body feels it. I have to remind myself to hydrate and to eat something more substantial than snacks. Because I do not have a live human working with me, I rely on artificial intelligence to scan for copyright issues, offensive language, and outdated references. But AI is limited to what it can access online. That is why mistakes still slip through. I once wrote a song, ran it through the scanner, and received a copyright warning on lyrics I had never heard before in my life. I had to go search online myself to figure out what was going on. And I am not the only one. Major artists who do everything themselves have talked about the same things. One artist has described the isolation of writing, recording, and producing alone. He has said the thoughts can spiral, some days the track feels like the worst thing he has ever made, and other days it feels like the best. That complete solitude is necessary for him, yet it can also become a heavy mental weight. Another artist, who produced many of his own records for years, eventually admitted he stopped enjoying it. He said he became too comfortable with his own habits and techniques and burned out on the art of recording himself. Across interviews and forums you hear the same themes from independent multi-hyphenates. The exhaustion of switching between every role with no one else to catch what you miss, the lack of fresh ears, the perfectionism that creeps in because there is no one to say, "It is done," the physical and emotional toll of staying locked in for days, and the quiet loneliness of carrying every decision alone. These are real cons. Now let us talk about the pros. These are my personal pros, the ones that make the exhaustion worth it, the ones that make the rubber ducky pajamas worth it, the ones that make the hypnosis worth it, the ones that make the burnout worth it. After I share mine, I will include the pros that other artists have mentioned. My number one pro is advocacy. My goal, my purpose, my mission is to touch just one person. When I get a song download, when that melody drops into my head and refuses to leave, the reason I stay locked in that creative hypnosis, walking around in those turquoise fleece pajamas with the little yellow rubber duckies from sunup to sundown, is because I know in my heart that I am chosen to advocate for this piece. No one else is doing it. No one else is writing it. No one else is speaking for this person. So I do. Some pieces are just cute or adorable, but even behind the adorable ones, there is always one person who needed to hear it. But the advocacy-driven pieces are the ones that fill me with satisfaction. When I finish a piece, when I quality check it, double check it, and triple check it, when I create the perfect cover with imagery I control completely, when I choose every instrument myself, that moment when I hit publish, I exhale. Then I take a long bubble bath. Then I eat a huge meal, because I am always hungry after creating. Then I rest. I like to use untraditional musical instruments. Record labels hated this about me. They wanted piano, guitar, and drums, the safe instruments. But I love experimenting. I love the arhu. I love the halusi. Basically, I love any unique musical instrument. I love anything that gives a song depth, texture, and emotional range. I love mixing genres. A country singer with a thick southern accent singing alongside a soulful singer with a completely different tone is beautiful to me. Producers hated it. I love it. Now I have the freedom to do it. If it is 2 or 3 in the morning and I am up working, that is my freedom. I can finish a piece, recheck it, publish it, and then get a good night's sleep. No deadlines. No pressure. No one telling me when to create. I advocate for therapy baby dolls, or trauma regulation support baby dolls. I also advocate for 55+ communities, senior citizens, mosaic Down syndrome and other forms of Down syndrome, individuals with unseen disabilities, double standards, misunderstood groups, and anything else people ignore. I advocate for things most people do not advocate for. And I learn as I advocate: updated terminology, updated medical language, and updated social language. For example, trauma-informed. I also learned that STDs are now called STIs, sexually transmitted infections, because I was writing a piece on it. My work teaches me while I create it. My digitizer is my musician and my singer. I love the freedom to program it to do whatever I want it to do. For example, I can tell it to use male voice, female voice, exotic instruments, gospel tone, soulful tone, country music, catchy jingle, background harmonies, modulation, falsetto, soulful, you name it. The reason I am so happy to mention this is because I will never forget the times when I was working with producers in the past and I asked them to add these variations. They would send the demo back with half of my request missing without even telling me. When I asked them why they left it off, they said they felt it was not necessary, or their most universal response was that the artists they had worked with in the past normally did not use these sorts of specifics or variations. Or they would say record labels they had worked with in the past liked to follow a certain commercial-friendly formula and this was outside of that. Now you understand why I love this type of creative freedom. The high-end digitizer I use will not produce anything that resembles copyrighted work, which is why sometimes it blocks my songs even when I wrote them myself. It follows strict guidelines to protect artists. This is why I like to use this particular one, because it also protects me from copyright, even if I unintentionally write something that resembles another artist's work. And yes, it is true, 2 separate artists can write similar lyrics or melodies without ever meeting each other. It happens. It is rare, but it is real. I choose to scrap anything that even accidentally resembles someone else's work. That is my ethics. I also love the freedom of choosing my titles. I think outside the box when it comes to choosing the titles of my songs and pieces. Producers criticized me for this. They said my titles were too long. But I write deliberately. I do not use metaphors. I do not use cryptic language. I do not use hidden meanings. I do not want anyone wondering what the butterfly means or what the cloud symbolizes. I write direct. I write clear. I write exactly what the song is about. Long titles help people find the song they need. Short titles are only for simple topics like dimples or freckles. Advocacy requires clarity. I love the freedom of being direct and raw when I write. Artists under contracts cannot do this. They cannot be bold. They cannot be raw. They cannot be direct. They cannot challenge double standards. I can. I do not write about politics or religion, but I do write about social imbalance, emotional injustice, and overlooked experiences. I love the freedom of bold storytelling. Other artists have talked about the freedom to choose their own sound, the freedom to reject commercial formulas, the freedom to experiment without permission, the freedom to advocate for topics labels avoid, the freedom to release music on their own schedule, the freedom to own their masters, the freedom to create without censorship, and the freedom to be themselves. They describe independence as finally breathing, finally being heard, and finally being allowed to be an artist instead of a product. No one is cutting my lyrics to make them more commercial. No one is changing the genre because that is what sells. No one is forcing a standard structure. I can start with the chorus, stack 4 verses, or repeat a short hook as many times as the emotion needs. The advocacy stays intact. The songs for the man who is hurting, the man who has been the victim, the man who needs to know someone understands, those songs stay exactly as I intend them. My music stays pure to the download I received in my head. Those melodies that show up in the shower or while I am eating get to live the way they arrived. No committee, no compromise. I love the freedom of full ownership and integrity. When I put something out, every part of it is mine. If it touches one person, I know that person heard the unfiltered version of what I meant to say. That matters more to me than streams or likes. And my personal favorite, I love breaking the fourth wall in my songs. Sometimes in the middle of the song I might say, now we are at the bridge, or I may start talking and then say, alright, back to the song. I love that. Producers I worked with in the past hated it. I love the freedom to correct in public. Yes, I take videos down. Yes, I update lyrics. Yes, I fix mistakes after the fact. People who follow the work see the human process, not a polished machine. But after the long stretch, after the rest, there is a moment when the track is complete and the melody can finally rest. That feeling is hard to explain, but it is worth the exhaustion, even the rubber ducky pajama days. So yes, there are cons. Real ones that other artists have named. Ones I live with every time a new melody shows up and refuses to leave. But I would rather carry the full weight and keep the full vision than hand pieces of it away again. I became independent for a reason. And as long as the purpose stays the same, to touch just that one person, I will keep doing all of it, lyricist, songwriter, composer, producer, and quality control. Even on the days it burns. It is 3 in the morning. I better get some sleep. Good night, everybody.